Today I thought I would follow up Paul Joseph Watson's excellent video, The Truth About Sluts and Cheaters, linked below, with my 1992 article, The Shocking Truth About Affairs Revealed. 1992, Bellevue, Washington. It's a little known but scientifically proven fact that men who have affairs have them with another person. Yes, this is true. What's more, we now know that most of the people with whom they have their affairs are women. This may seem amazing, and it goes contrary to everything feminists say about men, so before we get into this, a little background information might be helpful. First, popular wisdom tells us men are far more adulterous than women. According to the Height Report on Men, 72% of men married more than 2 years are not monogamous. Then there's the popular belief that promiscuity is primarily a masculine pursuit. Quote, the view that it's permissible for a man but not a woman to commit adultery has persisted almost to the present day. It was 1993 before English women, for example, won the right to divorce their husbands for it, close quote. Ray Tannehill, Sex and History. This is a carryover from the Victorian era when the politically correct presumed men were morally deficient, as opposed to the attitude of the present feminist era that says, all men are pigs. Quote, women, and also religions, train men to perceive a woman's behavior as good and men's contrasting behavior as bad, close quote. Roy Schenck, The Other Side of the Coin. Finally, whereas society socializes women to be passive, making them unlikely to initiate relationships, men, cast in the role of primary initiators, often become obsessive about it and find it hard to stop hitting on women even after they have a partner. Thus, it would seem that all the myths about men are true. Obsessive initiators, most are out there getting illicit nookie, and for that reason, they're morally deficient. But here's an exciting new theory I call the theory of the carousal class. If heterosexual men are unfaithful to their female partners, and if all of their illicit affairs are with women, then this suggests, remember you heard it here first, that an approximately equal number of women are having illicit affairs too. Quote, 70% of women married more than 5 years are having sex outside of marriage, although almost all also believe in monogamy, close quote. As if that makes it okay. Share height, women, and love. The numbers average out to 21% for women and 26% for men. That was in 1992. But the point is, for every straight man having an affair, there is a straight woman having an affair too, or bisexual. Feminist rhetoric notwithstanding, neither gender is either better or worse than the other. Like women, men yearn for the perfect mate. Women, however, expect men to initiate relationships. Yet they rebuff men so often that after a while, even thinking about asking a woman out can be painful, especially these days. One result is that many men lower their sights. In effect, they only approach women who excite a nominal interest. Women, that is, whom they can sexually objectify. That way rejection hurts less because it means less. But sometimes Ms. Nominal Interest says yes. She keeps on saying it, and he finds himself with a girlfriend or wife. Now he has someone he can depend on, someone who will be there for him, and this can be empowering. Quote, all I want is to know that someone is really there for me. Then I know I can relax and go off and do my own thing, close quote. Eichenbaum and Orbach, what do women want? Because of her, now he can, quote, relax and go off and do his own thing, close quote. He has gained the confidence necessary to respond positively to the kind of woman he really wants and who now finds him attractive. Quote, self-assurance honed to believability by females helps a man keep his fears in check, close quote. Tara Roth Madden, Women versus Women. But he isn't supposed to respond to them. It would be unfair to his wife. Unfair, yes, but justice of a poetic kind. Women place the burden of initiation on men, then end up with men who settle for Ms. Nominal Interest. From her he gains the confidence she drained from other men and uses it to sleep around with the kinds of women he really desires. In this relationship between women and men, there is a harmony that is almost Taoist in nature. All the handbooks of ancient China emphasized that the preliminary yin, or female essence nourishment, should come from a number of different women. Quote, if a man continually changes the women with whom he has intercourse, the benefit will be great. If in one night he can have intercourse with more than 10 women, it is best. Close quote. Ray Tannehill quoting ancient Taoist wisdom, Sex and History. The Tao of Adultery. An essential feature of the Taoist philosophy is that there is nothing static in existence except life. All else is in flux. Quote, all the elements are in a continuing state of advance or retreat. When one thrusts forward, another must fall back. When one contracts, another expands. There is no active without a corresponding passive, no positive without a compensating negative. Close quote. Ray Tannehill, Sex and History. This describes sexual relationships in America well. A woman is passive, so men hit on her. She demurs, so they advance. She rejects them, they fall back, their spirits contracting as her frustration grows. Then she responds with feminine wiles, a small advance disguised as capitulation to which men enthusiastically respond. Sometime during the cycle of thrusting forward and falling back, she unexpectedly says yes and bonds to a man. Within their relationship, however, the ebb and flow of active and passive continues until it inevitably oscillates back into the larger universe of relationships where he, his yang or male essence fortified by her yin, attracts other women like never before. Pseudo-mystical explanations aside, for many men, simply having a mate can make them feel so much better about themselves, so much more confident, that they may eventually wonder why they committed to their spouses in the first place. Love really had nothing to do with it, and now they feel a new confidence that can be the springboard to extramarital sex. Feminists, though, ignore this dynamic, preferring to attribute it to a more superficial and sexist stereotype of men. Quote, there is also something exciting about the newness of another woman, a sense of not yet possessing this object, of knowing one's wife very well and of feeling secure in having her, and so the excitement of getting her is gone. This sense of going after something, conquering it, mastering it, possessing it, establishing control is all part and parcel of a boy's socialization to the male role. Close quote. Eichenbaum and Orbach, What Do Women Want? In some cases, this is obviously true, but it's demeaning and sexist to generally attribute such superficiality to all men. This leads to the inevitable conclusion that the feminist primary aim is not to promote understanding and facilitate cooperation, but to ratify their party line. Quote, wives, I have a message for you. Your husband is out there hustling women. Those of us with self-respect are disgusted by him, and you should be too. Close quote. Share height, Women and Love. This ignores that most men don't cheat, and most women do. When a man is unfaithful, he violates his partner where she is most vulnerable, her sexual desirability. What's the male equivalent of this vulnerability? Are men wounded as deeply by the affairs of their partners as their wives are? Not according to Share height. There is, however, one area in which women really know how to stick it to a guy, his confidences. Quote, Dubish also points out the symbolic connection between verbal and sexual pollution, allowing strangers into the house by telling them that the family's secrets is like illicit sexual penetration. Close quote. Deborah Tannen, You Just Don't Understand. Men feel violated when their lovers divulge their secrets. Quote, talking about a problem, especially one that reflects badly on him, he views as betrayal. Close quote. Dr. Joy Brown, Why They Don't Call When They Say They Will, and Other Mixed Signals. Thus, as far as most men are concerned, women cheat on them all the time. Ironically, such violations form the basis upon which women make and maintain friendships. Quote, girls' friendships are made and maintained by telling secrets. For grown women, too, the essence of friendship is talk, telling each other what they're thinking and feeling, what happened that day, who was at the bus stop, who called, what they said, how that made them feel. Close quote. Deborah Tannen, You Just Don't Understand. Thus, from the male point of view, female friendships are essentially adulterous. Women do not, however, limit themselves to just that kind of adultery. Feminists might say women have affairs because their men don't treat them right. But what angers feminists are the men's reactions to the illicit affairs of women, which they attribute to male culpability. Quote, surprisingly, 60% of men's reactions to their wives' affairs are very low-key, sometimes even relaxed, compared to the stereotypes of male behavior. Is this because many men, 72% according to the Height Report on Men, are also having secret extramarital sex and feel relieved when they discover they are not the only ones? Close quote. Share Height, Women and Love. Drawing only the most damning conclusion possible, feminists reject the idea, don't even consider it, that male benevolence could have anything to do with it. In response, we might uncharitably suggest many women are masochistically drawn to have relationships with bad men. Quote, sheer badness attracts them. They are good girls attracted to bad boys. Close quote. Sheila Eisenberg, Women Who Love, Men Who Kill. Women in relationships with bad boys can become the proverbial squeaky wheels that get the most attention. Hearing all their squeaks makes it easy to assume all women similarly suffer, that all men are domineering, sneaky, and oppressive. But many men wonder why women stay in relationships with such men. If there is no objective reason to love the guy beyond the fact that he's occasionally nice to her, then clearly she loves him for subjective reasons, and either there are compensating factors, or she is fleshing the relationship out with fantasies about loyalty taking precedence over everything else, including her own integrity. Ultimately, many women may have affairs because it's the only way to protect their investment in the man they see as their success object. Given the choice between having a good provider or a romantic lover, but not both, they will usually choose the walking wallet for marriage and resort, as Warren Farrell put it in Why Men Are the Way They Are, to female pornography, romance novels, soaps, and Better Homes and Gardens, centerfolds, or they have affairs with someone more exciting, close quote. With the advent of the modern women's movement and the sexual revolution, women, according to Ray Tannehill, began engaging in casual sex more, while men were doing it less. Despite this, the 1990 Roper Organization poll found that 54% of women believe men are too preoccupied with sex, and that their, quote, attitude toward men has turned somewhat sour, close quote. Such an attitude is hypocritical, but there's more to it than that. During the past 20 years, romance novels, the soaps, and feminist pundits have vigorously portrayed men as sexual predators. This chimera of masculinity has biased how women view men. Men are dangerous beasts whom they must control or destroy, and has disempowered men to the point where fidelity becomes problematic, leading to an escalating cycle of blame and shame feminists use to control men. Does it do any good? Is everybody happy? The answer, which anybody can find in the screaming divorce and suicide statistics, is a resounding no. In the end, there will probably always be sexual partners who are unfaithful, but feminists are making things worse with their unwarranted diatribes against men. 2015, Olympia, Washington. As Paul Joseph Watson covered in his video a few days ago, while men are still stereotyped by feminists as the adulterous sex, the infidelity rate of women has only gotten higher. And while women far more often than men call other women sluts, the mighty slut brigades are on the march to spew bile at men as they flat out lie about us. Short of letting the Islamo-fascists take over the West and impose laws condemning women to honor killing for riding in a car with an unrelated man or whatever, we can't very well declare war on them. Being liars, the femiflakes, of course, already accuse us of making war on women. And while it would be nice if someday soon the mainstream of society woke up, recognized feminists for the vile hate-mongers that they are, and laughed and jeered them into silence, that won't happen until enough women demand it. And that won't happen until they start to feel the pain of feminism too. Which leads us to MGTOW and the excellent video Turd Flinging Monkey made, linked below, about increasing the perceived scarcity of men by withdrawing from the sexual marketplace. MGTOW is a rational response to feminism. That's all for now. Check out the other videos, subscribe to the channel. For the Backlash at Backlash.com, my name is Rod Van Mecklin.